All right, guys. So if you were just watching, you watched the lesson on histograms, and how to create them, and that they look like bar graphs all smushed together. But the other thing to make note of is, what is the histogram actually telling us, and what does the distribution of it tell us? And so there are 5 different types of distributions when we look at histograms, and we're going to go over each one, and I'm going to tell you what the key features of them are. So the first example is called what's called uniform distribution, and this is where the graph, you'll notice that all of the bars seem to be approximately the same frequency. So that is the key feature for a uniform distribution. There's no high point. There's no like distinguished high point or distinguished low point. So you can say that all of them are kind of even frequency, are all about the same. And which means you can usually just draw a nice like line across here to say they're all about that frequency. So they're even. Some are a little bit higher, some are a little bit lower. But they look about the same. There's no real high point or no real low point. The next one is called a normal distribution. And what you'll notice with this one is that it starts off really low and then goes up. It has a high point and then comes back down. Now, what some of you may know this as the bell curve, because it looks like a bell. It looks like the top of the bell and the sides coming out on the sides. Now, the key feature about this is that the mean, median, and mode are all in approximately the middle. So they would be around here. They're approximately the same. They might be a little bit off, but their values will be similar and they'll be close together. And it's got this like nice bell curve shape to it. The next one is called a bimodal distribution, and this one happens when it seems like you have 2 different peaks or 2 different like higher points in the graph. So you'll notice that this one comes up, goes back down. Sorry, let me do that better. Comes up, goes back down, but then comes back up and is down again. So you'll notice that it has or appears to have 2 modes or 2 areas that have the most frequent. 2 modes or like peaks. Now you can have ones that have like 3 modes or 4 modes. It just depends on the type of distribution and the number of categories you have, but this one is one of the more common ones you see, where you have 2 different peaks or 2 different modes. So that's bimodal. All right, so the next one is called skewed right distribution, where it starts off with the peak really close to the edge, and then it tapers off as you go to the right. Now this one is skewed right because you have your mode on this side. You have your median, and then your mode or your mean or your average is closer to the away from the peak, because these values at the end are moving it towards closer towards that tail. So it's skewed right because the mean is moved to the right. So the mean is to the right of the peak. So that's why it's called skewed right. Even though most of the data is on the left, it is skewed right because the mean is to the right of the peak. And the last one looks like this, and it is called skewed left, where the tail starts right at the beginning, then it slowly goes up, and then our bulk of our data is on the right-hand side. Same thing happens, our mode and our median are on this side, but our mean, again, this one, the mean is to the left, or average. We're going to talk about the mean, median, mode in the next lesson. So the average is on the left side of the peak. So that's why it's called skewed to the left. So those are all the common distributions that you might see when you look at histograms. And I know there's questions that ask you what is the distribution of this data, and that is what they refer to. So it's going to be one of these 5 distributions. All right. Bye, guys.